Hey everyone, welcome to Castle of Legends. This is another video on some of the projects that I've worked on for the miniatures game, and I wanted to just show you one of the models that I've worked on recently. This is not a tutorial. I'm gonna work on setting up some tutorial videos once I start working on a new project, and I can kind of show a few steps to how the project is going. But basically this is just to show you what like a before and after. Basically taking one of the like a Hot Wheels model. This one in particular I found at a local Value Village in a bag with a bunch of other cars as well. So I believe it's it's an older casting for sure. And I really liked it because it was like it had the the dune buggy look to it, or the buggy look that's in the in the game, and it had the the off-road tires and exposed engine at the back, and I thought it was like a really good candidate for a Gaslands car. So this is generally the one that I worked on. I believe the one I worked on was a different color than this, but once you take the rivets out at the bottom and strip it down to the bare metal, you can really start seeing a lot of the details and that are actually in these cars that with the current paint on it, it doesn't always show just a lot of the detail. So once you strip the paint off and then start adding your own your own details to the car, you can really make it looked really good. So anyway, this is one of my first projects that I did sometime back, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'll just put this car down and I'll show you what I did. So basically taking that similarly painted car, I took it apart, the rivets, and stripped the paint and everything, but and then I started to work on it. But what I did with this car was I actually haven't glued it back together yet. So I wanted to show you some of the some of the innards and everything. So everything comes apart, and it's really handy when you're trying to paint. So you can kind of break everything down. So I've got the interior painted separately. I took the I guess like the interior and then painted everything separately. Painted the engine. I used silver paint and some paint like a wash on it, and then I really like using paint markers, so I highly recommend picking up a set of paint markers as well for these, because it's a lot easier than using a paintbrush, and it's just a lot smoother. So I got the here's the engine. Looks looks pretty good, and and then the chassis. When I started to work on this, it reminded me of an old RC10. I don't know if a lot of you guys out there had an old RC10 with the gold tub, but I had an RC10, and I also had an RC10 T, which was the truck, but it basically used the same kind of chassis. So again, I just used some paint markers, and I kind of kept the tires a little bit black. I kind of dusted them up a little bit. I didn't do too much pastel on this one because I started doing that a little later, but I did go back to this model and added some dry pastel for rust and grime. So, which you can see on the top here. So the front bumper was actually modified. So just to kind of compare, with the original, I took an old Warhammer 40K bike. So this is the front of the bike, like where the handlebars would go at the top. So this is actually the front of the bike, and I glued it to the front of the front bumper of the original car, and then I took some toothpicks, glued them in the front, and then some of these barrels are from Flames of War, and I basically glued them on, wrapped them with thread, and then I did a lot of the weathering for that. So this is this car, according to the rules, is an exploding ram. So basically the idea is like it crashes into some other cars and it blows up. So you can see some of the pastel work I did on here. Yeah, again, this was one of my earlier ones, so I was still trying to work on the techniques, but I used some mesh that I had. There's some different ideas for using, like speaker wire, screen door mesh, I think works. I think that's actually what this is. And I don't know, I had some scrap around, so I've been using it for all my models. And then this is some metal piece I had in my bits box along with this antenna. So I just kind of wanted to add a few things to it and you know, make it look pretty cool. So yeah, so I mean, it all goes back together pretty nicely. And I haven't decided if I'm going to glue it, but you know, just for the purpose of the video, I mean, it looks pretty good, you know, as you know, an early buggy to work on and just kind of keep in with the post-apocalyptic theme of these cars. And you know, I want to build some cars with some drivers in them, so that's another reason why I left it open. But I can always stick a driver in there at some point, really easy. But anyway, just wanted to share this car. So you know, if you're interested in videos like this, you know, just subscribe to the channel. I can really use that since it's a brand new channel. So yeah, any help and any interest is greatly appreciated. Thanks.